Great. Test, test. All right, good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Emergencies happened, so we were a little late. Sorry about that. But great that we don't have a session right after that, so we still have our allocated time, which is 20 minutes for the session. Thank you so much for joining again and welcome. My name is Roman Avanesian. I'm the practice director at SADA Systems. I'm responsible for Microsoft productivity and modern workplace practice at SADA. We are national system integrator partner with Microsoft and one of the first FastTrack ready partners. And today with me I have Ashish Sharma, who is a senior systems consultant joining us from Visiting Nurse Service of New York for the project that we'll be discussing today, where SADA Systems FastTrack team closely worked with VNSNY to help them with their Microsoft 365 modernization project. We believe we will be able to have some takeaways today. Specifically, we will be able to help you better understand how Microsoft 365 platform helps with modernization, standardization of your environment as it pertains to transforming into cloud services. Also better understand how Microsoft 365 security and compliance capabilities can help organizations like VNSNY to meet those regulatory and compliance requirements. And also, very important to understand, what is that business proposition, value proposition that FastTrack ready partners bring as it pertains to helping to those organizations similar to VNSNY. So with that, Ashish, thank you so much again for joining. I know a little hectic morning,
yes.
But why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your organization and the services you guys provide to the communities?
Sure. First of all, good morning, everyone. My name is Ashish Sharma from Visiting Nurse Service of New York. I'm the senior systems consultant there. And first of all, I want to just thank Microsoft Ignite and SADA Systems so that we all have a get together, and today we are going to discuss about what we did and how they helped us. So we are a non-profit organization, Visiting Nurse Service of New York. This is one of the largest healthcare provider in tri-state area in New York. And we have close to 30,000 patients, which our field clinicians, they visit remotely, visiting patients' home at their home healthcare providing. So that's what we do. Back to
So
you.
every time we work with clients, am I still? Yes, great. Anytime we work with clients as it pertains to FastTrack services, there's a trigger for transition, for cloud thought process, right? So, and typically it's IT challenges. So can you elaborate a little bit? What are those IT challenges that you guys were facing that you
Correct.
started thinking about cloud services?
Yes, some of the challenges which I would like to discuss what we faced within our organization, they were like, we have mobile workers. Our field clinicians, they go to patients' home, they have a mobile device like tablets, laptops, and we do data collection and transfer. That means when we visit the patients, we do some CMS. Our clinicians go there, they calculate or collect patients' data. That's what we need to transfer to on-prem servers. And at the same time, from an on-prem servers, we had to send the data back to the clinicians. So when we were working in the field, in tri-state area, some places, we don't have enough bandwidth from the ISP, from the internet. There's a very low ISP bandwidth. So at the low internet bandwidth, we need to transfer the patient data from the mobile devices, from the tablets. That was one of the biggest challenge what we were facing. How do we do that? Identity and network connections. We wanted to leverage our current Active Directory. We have Active Directory with close to 23,000 objects today. And we wanted to make sure that we use the same ID, same password what we have within our VNS on-prem Active Directory. That was another challenge because we also work with different SaaS providers, different applications. And every SaaS provider, they wanted to make sure they have either their identities that has to be matched with our identities, same passwords on both the places. In fact, for a normal clinician, it was very difficult. Consider about like 10 different applications, 10 different IDs, 10 different passwords. The clinicians, we were like having tough time in maintaining and keeping that. High administration overhead. Because of this, sometimes, like an average end user, it's not easy to remember complex passwords. P, add, special characters. So users, they used to enter wrong passwords. Their account used to get locked. And now in the field, they used to call our service desk. On the service desk, we try to troubleshoot. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it works. And if it doesn't work, we had to force the clinician to come on site, work with one of the system admin, unlock the account, reset the password, make sure the user can log back in. So that was another challenge what we faced with the identity and the network connections on that. Solutions need to meet stringent HIPAA security compliance. Whatever we do or whatever we wanted to do, we had to make sure it is HIPAA compliance standards. We had to follow in healthcare special security restrictions and guidelines when dealing with identity and the data. So these were the challenges, Roman.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds painful, but in terms of building those objectives, right? So when SADA's FastTrack team working through those integration and or implementation projects or transformation projects, it's very important to build those objectives and goals. Why? Because we're not just addressing the challenges with the technology, but there's also a business case that you probably need to justify to your management and what is that value proposition ultimately. So what were those objectives that you built with my team?
Sure. So we discussed about the challenges. Now we establish our goals. What do we want? We were looking for a solution which can change the complete working environment, technology platform, and making sure all these things in place, what we discussed, they work. Let's start with this. Deliver a streamlined modern device management solution. We were dealing with devices, tablets, phones, iPhones, Androids. We wanted to make sure we have a proper MDM solution in place, which over the internet can work with our applications in a secure way. Provide remote access to the patient records.
Yep.
When the clinician is at a field in a remote location, the user, whether it is on phone or the tablet, they should be able to pull out the data and assign cases, whatever they were assigned to that specific clinician. As I discussed, we have 30,000 patients, but at the same time, every clinician is assigned a fixed number of patients. So all that data had to be transferred over the internet back to their devices. That was another requirement, like how do we do that in a secured way? Ensure secure transfer of patients' information, that's HIPAA compliance, data at rest and data during transfer, both had to be encrypted. Reducing number of technology vendors. We wanted to cut down our middleware interfaces because when we were working with SaaS vendors, we were exporting identities and other information into CSV, Excel files, and manually uploading the FTP, doing either through web service calls or sending them the CSVs and export files in encrypted format, secure as FTP, to the vendors. We wanted to eliminate all these manual processes. Achieving cost savings. Yes, that's another. Like every other company, as you work in the same field, you wanted to cut down the cost, we wanted to do that too. We were trying to avoid our service desk, extra admin level efforts in resolving number of issues what we discussed earlier. So that was another goal what we wanted to meet.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much. So we kind of touched on planning, right? So initial challenges, understanding how to build objectives, and how to achieve those business goals. And at some point, you start working with those subject matter experts within FastTrack team, technical team, to really align the technology, right? So to really align the technology to be able to address those goals. For example, one of the problems is you had multiple vendors, SaaS vendors, that you guys had the overhead of managing them, administration overhead, licensing management, authentication issues. You mentioned some authentication in SaaS scenarios when you had to re-enter credentials, etc. So can you break it down a little more in terms of how you aligned the technology of Microsoft 365 stack to address those problems?
Sure. So we came up with Journey to the Cloud solution. SADA technical support, they helped us. we started with the planning phase. Planning, designing, implementation, post-implementation phase. So we split our key environment into multiple factors. Where do we want what? The key cycle was identity lifecycle. How do we keep our identity maintained across the board? Whether we have different vendors, SaaS providers, different applications, or tomorrow we go with another 5 applications, same identities, whether we onboard, whether we do offboarding, they need to be maintained at the same time and instantly. That was the biggest thing. So we went through our internal manual processes to Azure AD. We implemented Microsoft Azure AD, and we implemented Azure AD Connect. And in the real time, when we were adding the users, removing the users, Azure AD Connect was helping us in syncing the identities, Active Directory groups, Exchange attributes, SharePoint attributes, all that to the cloud instantly. That was the biggest advantage and biggest success, I would say we did it. Identity management, as I discussed about with Azure AD Connect. Infrastructure. We were using multiple number of Exchange servers, like you might be doing that too. We cut down that. We migrated our Exchange environment, all the mailboxes to Exchange Online. No more on-prem Exchange servers, except a minimum what is the basic requirement, we have that. But otherwise, Exchange Online, we implemented that. App usability. When we moved our identities to Azure AD, we started working with each individual SaaS provider. Nowadays, pretty much every other company, they have their application published in Azure. There is a built-in trust connector, and we could set up directly integration with Azure AD identities right with the vendor with end-user provisioning. And we also leverage our Active Directory groups for that. That means no more manual interfaces. We got rid of all of that. So that was a very good thing because that's a real-time syncing from Azure AD to SaaS provider. SaaS solutions, provisioning, deprovisioning, we met our security requirements using that. When we were terminating the user identities at the same time, our AD Connect was syncing the identity to Azure AD in a disabled mode. We revoked Microsoft Office 365 license, and at the same time, our SaaS provider noticed, oh, this account has been disabled, they terminated, no more authentication, no more authorization to that identities. We started achieving our security requirements. So these were like some of the points about the journey to the cloud.
Thank you so much. I think this is a great overview of technological aspects of the transformation, right? And what I would like to address is another important component of change management and adoption. Why this is important? Because anytime customers go through an initiative of migration or standardization or modernization of the environment, there are 2 important pillars that we touch: IT change management and end user change management. Because at the end of the day, who is going to drive the change? Your employees, your users. They need to adapt to the solution, they need to adapt to the platform. So as it pertains to FastTrack services, there is a range of services that FastTrack benefit provides to customers. I apologize. And specifically around remote guidance, deployment and adoption planning, remote deployment guidance and detailed migration guidance as it pertains to those TechNet articles, online materials that are available. Also user communication templates in some scenarios where applicable. And the value that FastTrack ready partners bring to the table also revolves around a little more advanced type of services as it pertains to business analysis, use case development. In some scenarios, customers may have value envisioning workshop requirements where they bring all the executives together and identify those business use cases to be able to understand what is the ultimate goal that they're looking to achieve. And we kind of skipped over security and compliance right now, but to quickly touch on that in terms of what Ashish explained, around Azure Active Directory, obviously unifying identities was very important to make sure that all the credential management, user object management happens from one place, and to make sure it happens in a secured and compliant manner. Obviously, implementing multi-factor authentication is a no-brainer these days. This is a number one requirement we have as part of identity-driven security story. Also, litigation hold along with Exchange Online capabilities as it pertains to data loss prevention. Those are important aspects for organizations like VNSNY who have strict security and HIPAA requirements. So all that, the great thing about it is that all that is available as part of native Microsoft 365 capabilities. Obviously, as customers migrate to their new platform, they also explore additional possibilities around mobile device management, explore additional capabilities of Intune, which VNSNY is currently going through. So kind of to wrap up the session, I think one of the important takeaways that we mentioned will be the value of FastTrack Ready Partner. So Ashish, what I would like you to do is to touch on those important components of that value, business value proposition, if you can. And I'm sure there are customers in the audience that would like some recommendations, so please.
Sure. So, like all of you guys, you are technical, SME in your subject matters. You go through the solution, we were looking for a solution. You all can go to Google, search it out. There are a number of solutions available, products, and you can ready to go ahead and evaluate them and implement them. And things usually we expect to go smooth in technical field, but sometimes it doesn't, as we all know. We have seen the hurdles too. We were looking for a number of different solutions, and we did evaluation on a number of them, but no one of them securely or collaboratively worked for us. So we, from the technical point of view, thanks to SADA technical support team, the moment we got engaged with them, they implemented a roadmap for us. What we want, where do we want to go, and what is the journey and what's involved in there. So some of the key points I would like to mention about accelerated implementation. FastTrack engineers, they were helpful for us. We did not have enough time. We wanted to meet some goals within a particular time frame. At the same time, we did not have dedicated admin level team who could work full-time on few of the projects. We had to support at the same time number of other things, ongoing maintenance support work. That was a key issue. If we have dedicated team and dedicated full-time, yes, we could meet the timelines, milestones, but we did not have. So FastTrack, admin level, technical support team, they guided us in such a way that saved a lot of time. It was quite helpful. What we want, how do you want it, they laid out the plan for us. And from admin core team, we evaluated, we looked at it, we said, yeah, that makes sense. We do want to get there, and this is how we can get it, and this is how we will be doing it. So that we were lucky that we met our timelines, no delay in there. And that was accelerated implementation. Less overhead. They have done a number of other objects with other customers. So we did not have to spend too much time on doing a research. For example, we wanted to implement Azure AD Connect. It's a new thing. We were familiar with Microsoft FIM. As you know, Azure AD Connect is a revision of Microsoft Forefront Identity Manager, FIM. That was a new product. But we were not sure about how is it going to work, like password synchronization, write back, group synchronizations, and other Exchange attributes. How much time will it take, and all that. So we took help from their technical team again to guide us through some of these, and less overhead on overhead, but they put together things for us.
Thank you. And I think we may be a little short on time, but I think it's also important to emphasize the accelerated implementation and performance, right? Because there are sometimes very strict timelines that customers need to meet.
Yes.
So kind of bringing those both together, like FastTrack services and partner value proposition, really accelerates that deployment.
Correct.
So, are we short? Yeah. Maybe we can open up for Q&A for a couple minutes, and if we don't have enough time, Ashish and I will actually stick around at FastTrack booth where it says deployment for any Q&A, you guys welcome to come. Please. Let me give you the microphone. Thank you.
So you guys, it sounds like you went with Active Directory up in the cloud, Outlook up in the cloud. You mentioned SaaS applications. What sort of apps were you working with there?
We were, excuse me, we were dealing with number of single sign-on applications for HR, CMS, Salesforce is another one. Then we had medical patient record, escort applications. So they were like around approximately 10 of those, project management.
Electronic health records that, so was there any concern about PHI going up to the cloud?
Yes, they were. And that's where we implemented DLP on Exchange Online, protecting that. We implemented policies in there.
All right.
And we had a BAA signed with Microsoft that helped us protect against HIPAA.
Okay.
Thank you for
the
asking a
question.
great question. I got a swag for you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Any question?
One more question and we'll be at the booth. No? Okay. We'll give you some time to think about questions. Thank you so much for joining. There are additional sessions for FastTrack. Visit aka.ms/FastTrack Ignite 2018. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone.